This is Your Media Podcast. I'm Alex with my business partner Spencer, and we are here with the very lovely Sam Colbert from Blue Layne Boutique. Sam, how the hell are you? It's been a while.
I'm good. How are you guys? I know I haven't seen you guys in a while.
We're fantastic.
Well, I guess we could start with COVID.
Oh, gosh.
Has COVID, as an online store, has COVID had a big effect on your business or no?
So I will say that we had an advantage already from being online. And what did everybody do while they were at home? They shopped online. So we had that advantage in our field. But we did have to adapt in many ways. My team has adapted, and we've made a lot of changes that have been really great. I mean, I feel like we have gotten very good with our processes. We've narrowed them down and shortened them, so we're actually able to do things much quicker than we were before in a much shorter time span. So we've changed a lot of different things, but it's been good so far. I mean, thank goodness.
Yeah, I would think with your type of business that you're in like the right type of business.
Yeah.
For COVID, you're not like a brick and mortar where people come in and all of that stuff.
Yeah, thank goodness.
So in a lot of ways, it helped you. It made you more efficient.
Yes, that's a good word.
Efficient?
The other stuff that I said, efficient is a great word to use. We definitely improved our processes and became a lot more efficient. The sales climbed a bit, but I will say that our typical sales for beachwear, dresses for the summer, that was down. So it was a change of what I'm used to buying for the company and what I was used to doing. August was a little bit weird too, just because we didn't have back to school clothes like we normally do. So people weren't really shopping for back to school clothes. They're just shopping for different things, loungewear or impulse buys. But overall, I'm glad that we have the online presence that we do. Like, I'm super grateful. And I know a lot of companies in our field as well have shifted to online because they've had to. They've had to improvise their business structure and their business model. They've had to make their employees adapt, which a lot of companies have, even restaurants. So they've made that change. They've gone online only, and they've just worked with it and made it work. So
yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Any a business that's completely online, it just kind of jump-started the whole thing. I mean, it probably made Jeff Bezos an extra $50 billion.
Yeah, I was saying Amazon's killing it.
Yeah, I think I ordered quite a bit from Amazon myself. So
it's just taken forever to come.
Oh yeah. Well, I still can't find Lysol wipes. So if anybody finds,
I know. Yeah, I'll buy some for you.
Yeah,
and do the same for me.
Yeah, if I see a store with Lysol wipes, I'm just gonna be the one that grabs them all. Not because I'm gonna hoard them in my house. I'm just gonna post them on Facebook. Like, does anybody need them? Come to my house.
It's very noble.
Yeah.
Do you personally know anyone who got COVID?
Yes, I do. Our cousins were the first ones to have COVID in their county in Pennsylvania.
Really?
Yes.
Are they okay? Did they recover?
Yeah, they're good. Husband got it, and then wife got it, but nobody else got it. And I don't really think that we know anybody. My husband knows a few people that he worked with that gotten it, but otherwise, no.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody for a while, for a long time, like for months.
Yeah, we know.
Recently, I've known a few people.
Yeah.
2 or 3.
And they're okay?
Yeah. Nobody's died.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who's died. My dad works at U of M as a nurse, so his whole floor was transferred into like the COVID unit, and I think they had a couple people die, but it wasn't super crazy.
Yeah.
And he was on the front lines and stuff, and now it's basically back to normal because Detroit got crazy, and then they sent him all to Ann Arbor, and then he had to like deal with all of that. But yeah, the hospital's kind of settled down a little bit.
It's funny because I know that there's a lot of controversy over COVID and everything that's going on surrounding it, actually. But our son actually came home from school 2 weeks ago with a fever, and he had a stomach ache, and he ended up vomiting and stuff. So we took him to the doctor. Obviously, pulled him from school, and they said he just has a stomach virus. Well, then day 2 or 3, he started coughing. Horrible cough came with it. So we actually took him back to the doctor. Wanted to see if he needed tested for COVID. They had tested him for strep. It was negative, and they said pretty much they're not testing children. Which on one hand, I feel like a lot of people are going to be exposed to it, and they're either going to get it and be fine, or they may have some severe difficulties, or maybe if they have other problems or health issues, then it may affect them, much differently and much more severely and ultimately to their demise. There's just going to be people that happens to, which is unfortunate. Don't get me wrong. I'm not undermining the disease at all. But with so many kids going back to school or not, how are we ever going to know what kids have it and where they're spreading it to if you're not testing children? We had to go to an urgent care in Toledo to have him tested at our own free will. He was negative, thank God, but my little one, who's 2, started coughing as well, and they ended up both having croup, which is, the problem is that how many kids are going to start coughing from allergies, croup, right, strep, the flu, and then they all have to come home from school. Our whole house was quarantined for a week because we didn't have results for 6 days.
Yeah.
And the kids are carrying it. They're not getting symptoms necessarily. They're carrying it, though.
Yeah.
And also with the testing, I find it interesting how Governor DeWine had he had
all the false positives.
Yeah, there's false positives, which is for testing, like a false positive pregnancy test, you never hear about.
No.
That. So it's interesting that you're getting false positive COVID tests.
Well, that's what my husband said. Oh, his test is going to be positive. It's going to be positive.
Right.
And I was like, well, oh my gosh, if it is, how do we know if it's true? Because the governor's was positive and then negative. So whenever we called and they finally, and we had to call to get results. When we took him, they didn't tell us to quarantine. They didn't tell us to isolate. They didn't tell us when test results would be in. Like, I had to call back and ask all of these questions, which is crazy.
Sure.
And decide for my own family to make the right decisions, just to be I kind of think that it's overkill at this point, but I also want to be a responsible citizen to everybody else, that's going through this. And so we had to make all of those decisions ourselves and actually call back and say, okay, so when do we find out,
Yeah.
So, yeah. I wish COVID, she needs to go somewhere else.
Yeah,
Bye.
I'm about over it at this point.
I just hate the name COVID. Like, can we name it something like a little more pleasant? Like COVID-19. It's so technical. It's like a star when they're like, it's XRQ.
Corona.
You know what I'm saying?
Corona sounds nice and harmless.
Yeah. Corona, hold the virus.
The Rona.
The Rona. The Rona.
My Corona, You for Blue Layne, obviously go to market a lot. I'm assuming COVID put a damper on that.
Yeah.
You want to express your disappointment in all the places you didn't get to go this year?
Oh, man. Super upset because last trip I took was for market was in January to Atlanta. Haven't been anywhere since. Which, being in the industry that I'm in and being so busy all the time, a lot of my friends are my vendors, the owners of these other shops that we're supporting. They're all small businesses too that we buy from. Seeing my other boutique owner friends at market, bouncing ideas off of them, because when you're, as well as you guys know, when you own a small business, you're like submerged in this stuff. Like, you think, eat, breathe, whatever you're doing, and because you enjoy it. And so when I'm talking to my friends that I've had for years, sometimes they don't understand what I'm talking about. But when I'm talking to my boutique owner friends, it's like, oh, breath of fresh air. Like, we can bounce ideas. You know what I'm talking about. And it's just nice and refreshing to hang out with them. And I haven't seen them since January, and it's been rough. And it's hard to actually do my job as the buyer for the store without seeing the items, feeling them, seeing how they fit, how they stretch, the color in person. I mean, it's difficult.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, a lot of stuff looks great online. I bought in some really bad shirts that looked great online, and then they're just terrible. As a small business owner, I go home and I'll talk to my girlfriend about it, and I feel like bad. I don't know if you have this with Greg, where you just you get home and you're excited about something, and he humors you because you're married, but having someone I can talk to Alex or talk to other small business owners about it, but I always feel bad. I don't want to pull someone's ear about how excited I am about a new project or whatever,
Totally get it. Yeah. But Greg does the same thing to me. He'll come home and talk about cans, and I'm like, oh yeah, line 1 did what? It's like that new TikTok. What's a baby penguin? Have you seen that?
No.
Okay. Stupid. So anyway, I just play along, and I'm sure he does the same thing.
Wait, cans? Like aluminum cans?
Yeah, he works at a can plant and makes beer cans, Monster cans. So he'll come home and talk about line 1, did blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh man,
wow,
that's really interesting. And I'm over here this shirt came with the wrong stitching, it's coral, not rust. He's like, orange.
Some people just, oh my God, pull your ears so bad. I'm not going to say any names on air, but I have some people that call me, and it's just they go on and on and on and on and on. Ugh.
Oh, and you do this. Uh-huh.
Yep.
Oh, Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, that's my favorite. That's crazy. And when I say that on the phone, I'm like, they probably know I'm not even listening right now.
No, but then they'll go on and on and on and on.
Yeah, they still never stop. I'm like, all right, well, 2 hours later, I got to go do dishes, put these kids to bed.
Yeah, it's such a time vampire. Like we have a acquaintance who called Alex, and Alex I called him while he was on the phone with him, and then he took my call, and then we talked for like 4 minutes. And Alex, I'll just call him back. He ends the call with me. It bounces back to the original call, and the guy is still just going on.
Full blast.
Yeah.
Is he going to know who you're talking
about that. I didn't know if we should say anything because they're going to know who we're talking about.
No, they wouldn't know who we're
You don't
talking about.
think?
No, they don't watch this.
All right.
Although they should. Yeah. So take me back, Sam. Take me back to the beginning.
Oh, man.
It was a spare bedroom, right?
Spare bedroom. Yeah.
In Tennessee.
No. Okay. So beginning of my life.
Oh, you want to go all the way back?
Oh,
you want to
man.
do the whole biography?
Oh, Lord.
Let's do the whole thing.
Let's do the whole thing. Yeah, why not?
How about short summary if I can do it?
Yeah. We don't,
The short version.
Yeah, the abridged version.
All right. Born in Memphis, Tennessee, raised Memphis, Tennessee area, Northwest Mississippi. So hence the Southern accent. It gets very drawn out when I'm drunk or even one drink.
Yeah.
It comes out.
I'll have to get beer next time. Yeah.
Yeah. Moved to Ohio when I was 19. Or no, I was 20. With my husband. We've been together for 14 years now. Moved up here to really follow a boy away from all my family. I already had a daughter, and he accepted her right away. Knew that he was the one, chased him forever, finally got here, settled down. We ended up getting married when she was in kindergarten, ended up having another baby. This is where it kind of all starts with the company. After I had my second baby, Brecken, my first son with him, women are uncomfortable shopping. You know, sometimes some women aren't, but it's frustrating, it's time consuming. And whenever I'd had my son, you know, after you have a baby, you guys wouldn't know this, but you just feel uncomfortable in your body. You just expanded and, you know, deflated, and you don't really know what size you wear, and you don't know what to wear that's flattering. You just want to feel like yourself again, you know, and get dressed up, feel pretty. And I had come across another boutique online on Facebook that one of my friends from high school actually had. And all the stuff that she posted was so cute. So I started ordering a couple things. And she said, why don't you just start one there? So that's what I did. I ended up, you know, searching for vendors, how to start a business, looking for clothes. And I'm by no means like the most fashionable person in the world. And I actually didn't have I had no thoughts behind this. I really didn't think it would go anywhere. Like, I know that a lot of people are like, I've dreamed of this my whole life. Like, I didn't dream of this my whole life.
Right.
It happened, and I got lucky. And you know how they say people that, what is it? If you can't learn, you teach, or
those who can't do, teach. And those who can't teach Jim.
Maybe, yeah, something like that. So I am pretty casual. Like, I'm pretty much always in t-shirts, stuff like this, leggings, but I can dress someone else. I can style outfits. So as time went on, you know, we started in a bedroom, couple products, moved it down to the dining room. The racks grew. We ended up moving the company to North Carolina. I wanted to be closer to my family that was in Virginia. My husband had a job offer there, so we ended up moving, and that's really where the company started to grow and flourish. We started using Facebook advertising tremendously. I increased my ordering because if you don't have it, you can't sell it, right?
Sure.
So I just focused on all areas of the business and got, you know, really into it. I was like, you know, am I going to make this something or am I not? Is it going to continue to be just a hobby that can pay for a vacation, or am I just going to grow this thing?
Right.
So I did, and you know, we've talked about this before, and I just put my all into it, and it kind of just blew out of proportion, to be honest with you. Like, it just got so big. So here we are back in Ohio now. We moved the company. We've moved a couple times. We're in our fourth warehouse now. We're still in the same one that, you know, you guys came to.
Yeah.
Hopefully moving soon to a bigger space because we've continued to grow. We have a great team in place now, so I'm able to be here to do these things. And
Right.
So yeah, that's where we are now.
Is Facebook your biggest advertising platform?
Yes, Facebook has been our biggest advertising platform for sure.
Bigger than Instagram?
Yes. So in the beginning, Instagram was actually where I got the majority of our orders from. I would post, people would post their sold email. I'd invoice them manually, take hours.
Sure.
And then I kind of tried to transition away from that because it was taking so much man time and I was only a one-person show at that point. It was just taking way too much time to keep track of my inventory, sometimes even in my head, because someone comments and they want to buy something, you can't wait till 10 o'clock at night when you've put the kids to bed then to invoice them, because then they're going to forget to pay.
Sure.
And then you've taken it out of your mental inventory or even your solid inventory, and then you have to put it back when they don't pay, or you have to send reminders. So then there's more man time. So there is automatic invoicing now that it's available, which is amazing, and we use that. But we kind of shifted away from the comment sold email man invoicing or woman invoicing. And now we directed people to the website where people comment sold on our videos. We have an app now that's amazing. Our app is probably where I'd say 75% of our sales come from now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How many followers you got now?
Collectively, probably around 300,000.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Our tens of listeners are very impressed by that figure.
You guys will be right there before you know it.
Yeah, well, we're hoping with the podcast, with the inside look in this film series we're doing to grow. When you were, it's always romantic when you think back on like the climb, because that's kind of where Alex and I are right now. Like we're like trying to like move on our way up. Isn't that the best part of the whole thing? Like reflecting back on it, you were doing it.
Yeah. Well, I would say take notes, like mental notes, notes in your phone, because I've forgotten a lot because I was so busy. I mean, I had a baby.
Yeah.
Baby number 2, and then in the midst of the climb, and we're still climbing up.
Sure.
But in the midst of the huge climb, I was also pregnant with baby number 3. With 2 other kids, living in North Carolina. Still didn't have much family around because our family was like 4 hours away.
Yeah.
So take notes so you remember, what you did to get to where you are, what you're doing that's working well. Because I've forgotten a lot of it just because it was it's so fast paced.
Right.
Sure.
It's hard to take it in the moment.
Yeah, and you have to. My biggest thing that I feel like I didn't pay enough attention to was asking for more help when I needed it. Just silly things that they're not silly, but things that I could have passed off very easily to someone else that would have helped me get more time to focus on the analytics of everything. So like, for you guys, it'd be like, well, what video has performed the best for you? What has gotten the highest reach for you?
Sure.
Highest engagement? What video has been around so much that has brought you so many more customers? Like the Perrysburg video that brought me to you guys.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I should have focused on a little bit more back in the day. Versus, or poured more into Facebook advertising. I should have focused on what was working well and poured more into it. And I feel like we'd be a little bit further. Not that I'm not super happy with where we are currently, but I wish I would have paid a little bit more attention to the analytics and what was working.
Yeah,
I know it now,
you
but
don't know this stuff when you start. You can only see it and recognize it in hindsight. So
yeah, right.
What's it like having 300,000 followers? Because that's like power,
I wouldn't say it's like power. I would say it's more like
You guys could start a country. If you had all 300,000 people together, you would be like the 150th biggest country.
wow.
You ever thought about that?
maybe.
I don't know. I don't look at it as it like power. I look at it like, look what I've brought together. Like
Right.
I feel like now this is including Facebook, our Facebook group, Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat,
Sure.
Wanalo. We have multiple areas that we're on. So collectively, I would say it's inspiring. Really, it's really strange how it happened, and it's inspiring and it's incredible that the people that I actually have brought together are also kind.
Sure.
So I remember when I was in high school, and I moved a lot. So I went to like 12 different schools, and I only got through to the 10th grade. Crazy. That's another story.
You didn't graduate high school?
I did not. Don't have a college
Wow.
degree.
Look at you now.
Some of the people that are the smartest, though, are the ones who don't go anywhere in life. And not that you're not smart, but, so the people that get like 5 degrees don't
Yeah.
do anything because they can do everything.
Oh, believe me,
what I
I'm
mean?
sure my family thought, oh, yay, pregnant at 17, no high school degree, she's going nowhere. So look at me now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And not to brag, but it's just, it shows that you can come, where you're at in life right now does not have to be where you go or where you end up in 3 to 5 years. Even 10 years, even next year, you are always able to change your path. You are. Nobody else is. So, and you have to work hard. It's consistency, it's motivation, and just believing in yourself even when no one else does. Because I had many naysayers that said, what you're doing is never going to work. And it has. So, power, no. I'm inspired by the people that have come together, by my followers. And so I did a couple of fit videos and selfies the other day, obviously in our clothes. And I typically don't do that just because I'm so busy. And the girls that I hire that model, and even all the girls there, they're so good at it. So I just usually leave that to the professionals. But I was in there the other night and had a couple minutes, so I did it. And you know, when you're doing them, you're so self-conscious. You're like, oh, I hope I don't, I mean, I have many bloopers. My eyes are closed. I say the wrong thing and, mess up and damn it, shit. And
Right.
you stop it. And so when you post them and you get such good feedback, it's like such a hyper. Like, you're like, dang, thanks, girls. Thanks for hyping me up. It's a loving community where when I was in high school, the 12 I went to, the 12 schools that I went to, I was always the new kid too. So I always felt like I was never like welcome. I was never in that in group. Is that your timer?
You can keep going.
Okay. I was never in that in group, right? So have you guys ever seen Mean Girls?
I saw it once in like 5th grade, so I don't really remember it.
Okay, so the girl comes to the new school and she like eats in the bathroom. Now I never did that, but there were times where I wanted to. Like I would be like, oh my, like that was like 7:30 in the morning, going to school. Where am I going to eat lunch? Who am I going to sit with? You know what I mean? I have 300,000 people I could sit with now.
Yeah.
And anybody could walk in and sit with all of us. It's such a different community than what I grew up in. And it's what I want my daughter to grow up in too, is a loving and open-minded community where you're hyping each other up. You're not tearing them down, You never know what someone else is going through. Even if they, even I could appear like I'm just doing wonderful, but you don't know what someone goes home to,
Sure.
So you went to 12 schools,
Oh.
but only got up to 10th grade?
Yeah.
So
I went to 3 in the 5th grade.
Wow.
I love my mom. I'm sorry that I'm outing you right now, but we moved a lot.
My girlfriend
That is
moved a lot
crazy.
as well.
Yeah.
She might actually have you beat.
Really?
Yeah. I'll
How
have to-
many?
I don't know the exact number, but it's definitely double digits. She moved around. She
That
lived in
is-
Florida and Michigan and California. But she lived in like 5 different places in Michigan.
Yeah,
We were
that
in, farthest we ever went was Minnesota.
What's that like?
Cold.
Are you a Vikings fan?
No.
No?
No.
Not a football fan?
I'm a forced Steelers fan. I actually don't even know what goes on in football other than there's a touchdown.
Sure.
So with them running across, I don't know what they're doing. I'm just forced to be a Steelers fan because my husband's from Pittsburgh. So
Well, you have the ball, and
right,
they have to
ball.
go 10 yards, and you have 4 attempts to get that 10 yards, or they give the ball to the other team.
Spanish, okay.
I know we were talking about family, and I wanted to, because I think our listeners will find this interesting, and I always find these stories fascinating. You took a DNA test and discovered like a whole nother family that you didn't even know you had.
Yeah. Oh gosh. So my life is crazy, you guys. I think we went from not graduating,
Right.
not making it past the 10th grade, having a baby. I actually had twins at 17, one passed because they were so early. Meeting my husband, moving to Ohio from Mississippi, having another baby, starting a company. And after my second son was born, before my third son, I never knew who my real dad was. My mom knew his name, and that was it. So I searched my whole life, basically. I remember when I was younger writing into Oprah, maybe even did Jenny Craig have a show? I can't remember. Jerry Springer, whoever. I was writing everyone, trying to figure out, can somebody help me find this guy? Because she had no other information on him. So I remember even when I was younger, calling places, looking up on white pages, whatever. Never led anywhere. So I want to say it was like 2015. One of my friends from high school had posted about trying to find a family member as well, and it just sparked my interest to try again. So I think Brecken was too. And I started looking again, and we knew that he was from Canada, but he had met my mom in Memphis. So I started calling around, trying to figure out different places in Canada with his name. One guy actually was somebody answered the phone and said that he had just died, and they thought that I might be his daughter. I was like, oh Lord,
Right.
It wasn't, so that would have been, a little awkward. But
Was he rich?
I don't know. I should have asked.
You might want to claim that if he was.
Yeah. So didn't get anywhere with that one. So anyway, my mom said that she worked with this guy, and it was kind of like a fling during the summer. So she didn't have any information on, didn't know a birthday, no social, didn't know where in Canada he was from. I didn't know how old he was. She only knew his name and that he was from Canada. So I'm like, okay, Mom, what company did you work for? She's like, I don't know. I was selling llama skin tote bags door to door. You know those people that can come to your house sometimes and they're like, I have this magical solution. Let me spray it on your floor.
Right.
Okay.
And they like spray it in their mouth and stuff, telling you it's non-toxic.
I don't know. Have they done that?
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
I'd be
Several
like, okay,
times.
get out of here.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, what's the name of the company? So I looked and looked and looked, found the name of this company in Memphis, Tennessee, and it was obviously no longer existed. But the owner of that company, I was looking through records. Google is an amazing tool that we have
Yes.
nowadays. Thank goodness, because it was not available, 20 some years ago. So Googling the crap out of this stuff and find the guy in Florida. And this business owner now owns, I think, a jewelry shop or something like that. So contacted him. I'm like, hey, and they were kind of like caught off guard, like, why are you calling me?
Sure.
So I'm like, do you remember my mom and my dad? So I'm listing off their names, and he's like, well, yeah, I do actually, because that man lived with my business partner. So I'm like, all right, give me your business partner's phone number, right? So
Did you explain like I think he's my father, and
yeah. So and they're like, whoa, this is crazy, but they were very helpful and ready and willing to give me any information that they possibly could think of or help me with after 30 years almost. I mean, well, it's 27 years that they could help me with at that point. So called the business partner, and he's like, no, he didn't live with me. He lived with this other guy, and he actually had a girlfriend. So I paused on the other guy that he possibly lived with and went on to the girlfriend. Okay, so I found her. I want to say she had an Airbnb listed in Louisiana. Tried to contact this lady multiple times to be like, okay, did you date this guy? Do you know where if you dated him, you probably have a little bit more information than my mom did.
Sure.
She would not answer me or respond to me, but we'll come back to that. Would not answer or respond. So finally, I'm like, okay, I'll start looking for this other guy. Found him. He gave me a little bit more information in an area of Canada to look in. And that helped tremendously. So then I Google, so it was British Columbia. So that's right above Washington. So I start Googling BC and my father's name, and a Chamber of Commerce page comes up with a cell phone number. Didn't know it was a cell phone, but then I called it just because I call numbers all the time. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to answer and say, no, never been to Memphis, Tennessee, don't know you,
Right.
Wrong number, whatever. So called the number. No answer, went to voicemail. So I left a message, and my message was something along the lines of, my name is Samantha. I have a very serious question to ask you. This is very urgent. I live in Ohio in America. Please call me back as soon as possible. I don't care what time it is. As soon as I hung up the phone, I had a text message on my phone that said, I heard you were looking for me. I'll call you back in a little while.
Dun dun dun.
Next podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
What was going through your head at that point when you saw that message?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was in the kitchen, which opened up to the living room, and my husband has been through this with me for years. Has seen me search. I searched before I searched when we first met. I searched before we got married. I've searched numerous times, and it just led to nowhere. So after a week or two, I would just be dead-ended and just stop and move on about my life. So this time, when I saw that message, I was like jumping up and down. I was in the middle of making a Memorial Day dessert, actually. And we were about to go to a friend's house for a cookout. And I was like, Greg, oh my God, you will not believe, look at this. I think I found him. Oh my
Right.
God. And he's like, calm down. Like, it may be nothing, So we go over to our friend's house for the cookout. And I'm like, guys, I think that I might have just found my, and they
Right,
weren't
right.
like super close friends of ours, but they, we were acquaintances. So they're probably like, oh my gosh, this crazy girl. Okay. Because I'm like, I might have to step outside to talk on the phone,
Sure.
So he calls and I step outside and he's like, so I heard you were looking for me. His girlfriend that would never answer the phone called him and was like, hey, some girl is calling me saying that she could possibly be your daughter. Right? And she's like, I'm going to let you handle this, something along those lines. So he calls and he's like, so, why do you think this? Now, this was years ago, so I may be paraphrasing this completely wrong, but
Sure.
I basically just said, were you in Memphis, Tennessee in, this year? Yes. Was it the summer? Yes. Did you sell, llama skin tote bags or something like that? Yes. Do you remember my mom? No.
Of course.
No. So, I'm like, well, your name has always been in my life. I've always known your name. I was very clear that although I was very anxious to find my real father, and I always wanted to, that, my grandfather was in my life and he was a great father figure for me. So was my brother's dad. And so it wasn't like I was ever lacking a father figure or that I was looking for someone to call dad, right? I wanted to know who it was. I wanted to maybe see a picture, family history. I have some medical issues with my thyroid and who knows what's to come up in my future.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted some family history as well. And my son has autism. So, I was like, if you don't want to be a part of my life and we figure out we are related, that's totally cool. If you can just have an open window of communication in case I need family history information,
Right.
basically.
Absolutely.
But I'm not here to ruin your life or force myself upon you. None of that. So, ending the conversation, I just said, could you send me a picture? Right? And very, very nice. They sent over a photo. And I remember sitting in my backyard that evening crying on the swing set with a beer, like, oh my God, I look just like him. It was emotional. And his family and his wife were very open to a DNA test. So we did have that done shortly after. I went right here in Perrysburg. He went in Canada. Their free healthcare takes forever.
Sure.
It took like 3 weeks or something. 99.99999%. And that was it.
So what
Wow.
were you going through emotionally at that point when you knew it was like the real deal? Or did you already know when you got the picture?
No, whenever I got the picture, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I look so much like him. And I sent the picture to my mom and she's like, I don't know. I don't remember. I remember what he looked like. He had blue eyes. But it's been 20 some years now, 27 years. So he could have changed. I don't know if that's him,
Yeah.
Was his last name, is his whole last name Colbert?
No, that's my married last name.
Oh, right. That's right. Well, growing up, did you have his surname? Or
No.
Okay, because
Nope.
I've heard that from some people growing up without their father in their life, but having the same last name
No.
is it can be tough. So I know you had the test and it confirmed it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about when you met up for the first time. 'Cause
Oh,
that
man.
has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe I was, I want to say, if my dad watches this, I'm really sorry. I don't remember at the moment, but it was either my 27th or my 28th birthday. I think it was my 28th birthday. So we found out so it was around Memorial Day, and we found out, I think, somewhere middle of June that it was for sure. And then we met up the following year on my birthday in March. So we actually flew on my birthday to meet him and my stepmom in Vegas. And I remember the whole plane ride, I was so nervous because it was my first time in Vegas. And I was going to meet my dad, and it was my birthday. And
It's too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a lot. And I remember the whole plane ride, I was super nervous. When we got there late because there was a delay due to a storm in Detroit. And so I was thinking, oh my gosh, please let us get to Vegas in time so I can meet him. I want to say that I met my dad on my birthday,
That's great. Yeah.
And so I think we got there like maybe at 11:30 or maybe it was right at 12. So the next day almost. But I still say it was on my birthday. So we're in the Uber or whatever it was to go to the hotel from the airport, and I was like shaking. I was so nervous. Like, what if he doesn't like me? I don't know. It's just weird to meet a
Sure,
new person
sure.
that's this is your dad, right?
Right.
And so when we finally got there, I was like shaking getting out of the car, and I'm like walking in. I'm like, Greg, they're right there. they're right there. He's like, okay, calm down. It's fine. So, I'm trying to play it cool. And I'm like, all right, well, I got to go get my key to my room, So which really, maybe I should have ran up and gave him a hug. Like, it wasn't that like movie scene where you're like,
right.
So, yeah, anyway, we got our room keys. I took a picture with him right when we got there. And then we went up to the room. I think we might have put our stuff down, and then we went to dinner. And it was a great, it was like 2 days we were in Vegas with them. It was really fun hanging out with them. Really great getting to know them. I never felt awkward after that point. Always felt very welcomed, like they just wanted to know as much as they could about me. They were telling me things about my brother and sister that were younger, and his family. I was telling them about our family, stuff like that. So it was really a good trip. And then we ended up meeting up in Hawaii so I could meet my brother and sister and my grandma while I was pregnant with Cruz. So that was fun too.
That's crazy,
that's
and I
crazy.
actually mean that. That's not filler. That's I can't even imagine what that would be
is.
like.
How old are your younger siblings with your dad?
So I have an 18-year-old brother, and I also have a 14, almost 15-year-old sister. And it's crazy because, they say that things happen for a reason. My daughter was born 12 days before my sister.
Okay.
So imagine if and I could be very wrong, but I think that my stepmom actually was going through breast cancer while she was pregnant with my sister. And I think that maybe she had to deliver a little bit earlier. I'm not sure if I'm correct on that. But either way, imagine if you're a man and your daughter is pregnant with twins and your wife is pregnant.
Right.
And then everything that I went through with my twin pregnancy, and if they were going through things as well, I mean, that would have been a pretty traumatic time for anybody.
Yeah.
But they are, my daughter and my sister are 12 days apart.
Is that a blessing? Are they like really close and friends and stuff?
They're friends. They've only met each other one time.
Right.
So,
Right.
I think, they hung out the whole time that we were in Hawaii. I'm pretty sure that they have some similarities. And I think that they, if either of them needed something, they're there. I think that my daughter was just telling me today that she's stuck up for her with something on Instagram or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
But
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I got your back.
even
Yeah.
from afar.
So I wanted to ask you, did growing up not knowing your real father, do you think that it had an effect on you growing up?
No.
No?
No, because my mom was, she was such a strong woman. She never made me feel like I was really missing anything. My grandfather was always there. My grandmother, we don't have a big family, but the family that we do have was always there for me. So I never really felt like I was missing anything that way. Just internally, I just wanted to know. I'm very impatient and I like to know everything.
Sure.
So, I've never been afraid to ask questions. Even if they seemed inappropriate, like if I want to know something, I'm going to just ask you. And so I think that was the part of my personality and my heart that just wanted to know who he was. But if I never had found out, it's not like I'd be crushed or it'd be some life-changing thing that was the reason why, I can't eat Cheetos, or it wouldn't have affected me
Right.
in some huge way. I just always wanted to know, and I'm super grateful that I know that not everybody gets the opportunity to find who they're looking for. And even my friend in high school that was looking for her family member, she still has not found hers. And I know that there's plenty of people out there still searching for someone. So I don't want it to sound like I'm not grateful for what I did find. It took me many years, and I'm very grateful for finding him, my family, them being so open to having a relationship with me. And he just texted me the other day and said, I think he said Happy Memorial Day, but it was Labor Day. But he's in Canada,
It's
so.
love. It's love.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like giving up? You don't strike me as someone who would give up. You seem like pretty persistent.
Yeah, I'm pretty persistent. There's always going to be days. Now, giving up, there's different ways. Like giving up as a mother, no. Giving up as a wife, no. As myself, no. Business-wise, there have definitely been days, which I'm sure every business owner has had, where you're like, this is just not going the way that I see it, or you get burnt out because you work at the office, right? But then you're always thinking about it. So you go home, kids go to bed, you're working. Kids are watching TV, you're working. Kids are outside riding their bikes, I'm working. So it's like it never stops. So you get kind of burnt out, and you need change or a break. And I feel like that's something that has affected me.
When you were looking for your father, though, and you were, I'm sure you had a lot of dead ends where you'd call something and wouldn't get anywhere, and it obviously took you years to find him. Did you ever have a moment in there where you were like, Christ, like it isn't worth it? Like I can't keep trying this? Or did you always I don't care, I'm gonna either find him or die trying?
So whenever I would stop looking, it would just be because I kind of hit a dead wall and I just couldn't put any more energy into it at that point. Because I had a daughter and I had Greg and then I had my son. So, I mean, I had things that happened through my life where I couldn't search every day all day long.
Sure.
So I would just, it's not like I was just like, I give up. It was just like, I have other things to do. I'll come back to this at a different point.
Yeah, pick the book back up and continue reading.
So every couple years, I'd pick it back up and, all right, let's try this again. And as technology has increased since I was, 8 years old and got a computer, it's gotten easier for me to find more avenues to reach out to. Like, were you in Memphis? Calling all these different numbers, finding new places to reach out to. So I think that technology evolved enough to help me is what happened.
I think about bands, okay? Bands tour, and they plan their whole tour.
Right.
And they're going places they've never been before. Nowadays, it's not that bad. So if I'm going to a club in Kansas, I can just type it in my phone, Google. Siri will tell me exactly how to get there. I'm thinking back to like the 70s and 80s when they're like, all right, yeah, we're on West 2nd Street in Kansas.
Big map.
Like,
where are we going?
Yeah, and then
90s.
Yeah, and they don't know what roads are closed, and there's construction here. Like, I just think like, oh man, traveling back then or finding out any information, you have to go to the library, Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah.
You don't remember traveling with your parents and they had a map?
No, I do, but I was playing Game
maps.
Boy. I mean, hello.
Those maps were huge.
I remember the map days.
Yeah, I don't know. I think technology's incredible.
Well, even it went from like the big map and then it went to MapQuest, so you could print it off.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And then it went to Garmin or TomTom.
Oh yeah, like the GPS
that
thing
you could
was
like
in your
stick
car.
on your dash.
Yeah.
Then it went to if you had enough money, you could have it in your car, built in.
Yeah.
And now it's just on everybody's
in
phone.
our pockets.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
So
amazing.
it's crazy. But to answer your question, I would have never given up completely. There would always be something within me that I would have just looked until I died, probably.
Yeah.
And I would have thought that maybe eventually an obituary would pop up or something would pop up where I would find something. Like, how could somebody? I remember thinking, how could somebody just vanish?
Right. Does he have a common name?
No, not really.
Because if your name was Mike Smith, like good luck with that. But yeah.
No, it wasn't really. His name is Dennis, but his whole name isn't very common, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, it's not. It's because if your name, Jacob Smith or
No.
Mike Brown, like you're
Nothing
you're
like
probably
that.
never gonna find that. Yeah.
So it's so funny because a couple years ago, I've always looked at, since I've owned a business, I've been looking at like Forbes magazine, Inc. 5000. You'll see different articles that have been written by people that have grown businesses, not just on their growth, but maybe their how they grew it or useful information. So I try to always look at those things and see if there's anything that I'm missing, anything that I can take out of it, even and plug it into my own business and my own model.
Yeah.
So when I know that there's a Forbes list and there's an Inc. 5000 list. When I learned of it, it was like 2017. Looked at the application, I think in 2018, and you have to start out with like a certain number of sales for the beginning year. So it goes over like a 3 to 4 year span.
Okay.
So in maybe 2015 or 2014, I had to have had a certain number of sales to even apply. And then so say it's 2014 and it's $100,000 in sales. Then in 2018 or whatever the year is that you're currently applying in, you have to have had, let's say it's $1 million in sales to even apply. Then they look at all of this information about your company, your sales, your revenue, your growth percentage over those few years, right? And that's how they give you a number of where you are on the list. So when I saw those numbers, we were nowhere near those. And I was like, well, that's my goal.
Right.
And that I think that was actually like the first goal that I actually had within the company. Like, I want to be on that list. Because like I said before, no goals that I had in mind. I wasn't like, I'm gonna do this. There was nothing like that. So that was like probably the first goal that I had. I'm gonna be on that list. So worked to be able to climb our revenue enough to get on this list, right? So in February or March, maybe even January, I got the notification via email that the applications were open. Filled out the application, sent all of the information in, and I was like, oh, I hope that we're on the list. I hope that even if we are like number 5,000, I'm okay with that. I will be so ecstatic to be on that list, right? Just to see something, and like even my trophy is in my daughter's room on her dresser, right? Because even just to show my daughter, like, look what you can come from and do. And not that the list means a whole lot, like, you know, I mean, it does mean a lot, but it's not like it proves your character or who you are inside, but it's just an accomplishment that I wanted, and I wanted to show my daughter to be proud of me.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's just concrete. Nobody else is going to really see that or think what it is, but I know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the list came out, and they're like, you're probably on the list. Or they sent out an email, and they said, you're probably on the list due to what we've preliminarily looked at. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're probably on the list. And I'm like, we're probably 5,000, but that's okay. So then when the list actually gets announced and we're in the top 500, like, I thought I was going to fall on the floor. It was an unbelievable moment. Like, you just cannot believe that you had that much growth. Like, you're on the same list with, like, huge companies. And there were other boutiques that I'm friends with, that I'm in the same market with, that were on this list as well. And it's just it's amazing, number one, to see that small businesses like me and my company are on this list among huge companies that we've heard of in the news, that you see every day. But also, it just shows that our economy and our world and our society is changing. They want to shop with small businesses. They want to shop with people like me, to see that, you know, you can see my employees on the camera. You can see who you're giving your money to and what we're doing with it. You know what I mean? You don't know who is the owner of Walmart. A Walton?
Walton, Sam Walton or something.
He started it. It's probably a Walton now.
Yeah, he's dead now.
Well, and you know, like Bezos.
Yeah.
I mean, how much money do those people have? You know what I mean? Like, I think that people are shifting towards, they want to see smaller stores succeed. They want to get that personable service. Like, I talk to my customers, you know, I'll respond to them if I see their message. I don't ever purposely ignore anyone, but, you know, I do try things on. Do you see any of those other big companies, the owner of Target, trying on a dress for you? No. There's not that personable service anymore. They want to be... I feel like my customers are my friends. I would call them my friends more than I would my customers. And I feel like they're personally invested in my company. You know, they've been with me for 7 years, some of them, and they're personally invested. So they want to see us succeed as much as we do. So it was a huge accomplishment to see that number.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
332, you said?
332.
332. It's a good number too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not somewhere 332 just
332.
feels really good.
332. Yeah.
So are you eligible to be on that list again, or is it kind of like a one and done type thing?
Yes, we are. As long as we have the growth, but it just depends on the growth percentage over the span of years that they're looking at. So we do have the opportunity. It will be extremely difficult, I feel like, to beat the number that we were at, but It's not impossible.
Yeah, because it's a growth. You'd have to be like really big.
Yeah.
Who was number one?
No idea. Should I know that?
YMP? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Not yet. Hopefully.
We did have another boutique owner that was on there, and she was number 85, and that was Jules and James Boutique. So I've talked to Allison, the owner, a couple times, and she's very sweet. I followed her for a while, and it's fun to see your peers and see their successes too. You're like, man, I could be there one day, right?
Well, and it's good that you're not like bitter, because a lot of people get bitter about that. Like, oh, you said she's 85?
Yeah, she's number 85.
She's like, oh, that could have been me. But you're like, you're supportive of that and happy for her, and that's how you get there, because
exactly
everyone, the collective built each other up, and that's so
like
important.
I said, it is a growth percentage. So, I mean, I don't even know how you could be bitter. How amazing is it to see that a small business, a peer of mine, went from here to here. Like,
Right.
it is absolutely incredible. I mean, it's unfathomable, unbelievable what the power of social selling can do, really.
Oh, for sure. And you're a living testament to that.
Yeah.
From a spare bedroom.
From a spare bedroom.
To a big warehouse, and hopefully to a bigger warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully down the road, so.
Oh, I have faith in you.
And what were you runner-up in?
So we were on the Boutique Hub, which is a nationwide, worldwide center for like all the boutiques in the world to come together. They recognize all of them. So basically, they had a voting that began. It was like early mid-August, and the voting ended on September 1st, I believe, or October 31st, August 31st, and you basically have to ask all of your customers to vote, see, who, I think it's like best worldwide boutique. Then it's broken down into the states. So there's best boutique of Ohio, best storefront of Ohio, best mobile boutique of Ohio, best online boutique of Ohio. So we were I think we were second runner-up for best Ohio boutique and best online boutique. So that's
Nice.
super exciting too. Yeah, just the recognition that like people are actually out there and they like us.
And when we won our Addy, that was like how it was for us. Like I didn't expect it, and there's so much talent in this town.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So to like win, and we won the top award, and it was for Toledo.
Yeah, but
to
that's
win
still
that.
amazing.
Oh yeah, two guys who, started this company 2 years ago, going against really established good companies, and then winning the top prize was really cool. And that's so it's very reassuring. I mean, it's I don't know, winning it's more for like us than like anything else.
Yeah. You guys' work though is amazing. You deserve it. And isn't it so nice to see that recognition? Like, not that anybody else is going to walk in here and see your trophy like mine is in my daughter's bedroom.
Right.
But
We use ours as a doorstop.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
No, we do not
we
do
don't,
that
but
for the AAF.
we want to.
No, we won't do that for that one. If we win a Oscar, I would use that as a doorstop. The best of show Addy just means a little. It's like our first awards. So like I take a lot of pride in that. But
listen, I feel like my Inc. 5000 trophy is like a Grammy.
yeah, you're just like.
Like, it's glass, and it's just sitting on my daughter's dresser. My husband's like, you should probably take that into your office at work. I'm like, it's okay. I don't want anything. Like, I have so much crap on my desk. Like, this needs to be in a nice place.
Right.
Like my daughter's dresser. But, it would fall on the floor or something. There's, like, shit all over my desk.
It's too bad. It's too bad they didn't have a ceremony, because with the Addies, it was super cool because they said our name, and then we got to go on stage and be like, there's so many people I want to thank. My mom, my dad.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like shocked. So it was a genuine, like I didn't prepare
like,
anything. Yeah. It was wild.
Yeah, it was.
They were
out of
going to
nowhere.
have a ceremony, but I think it's going to be virtual this year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, COVID ruined it. Our ceremony was right before COVID hit.
Gotcha.
So we got in there, we got out, COVID happened. We're like, great,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anything else? When's the winter line come out?
It's starting to roll out now.
Okay.
Yeah, we're Ohio gets cold before everywhere else in the world, I feel like. So
Yeah.
I'm actually happy to see the chilly weather, but we are rolling out fall and winter right now. Tons of hoodies, cardigans, all the things coming in. We are huge with denim, so we carry a lot of different styles of denim. It's probably our #1 seller. So yeah, we're releasing it slowly. We have live videos on our app every week, so that's where it will all be.
Still no plans to come out with a men's line?
Not at the my husband has some things in the works, but it's not ready just yet.
Not yet. Oh, okay. So
All
maybe
right.
she'll come on and announce it next time.
Yeah.
So
For
yeah,
sure.
if you to follow Sam on social, join the following.
Yes.
There's a great community there. Download the Blue Layne app.
Blue Layne, yep.
Go to BlueLayneBoutique.com. No, BlueLayne.com.
BlueLayne.com, LAYNE, and then you can search Blue Layne in your app store, Google and Android. So
There you go. Sam
Free.
Colbert, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Your Media Podcast. We'll see you on the next one.